Some of us take things for granted, whether it's the air we breathe, the water we drink, or the weather we have. Here in America, we experience pollution, but not nearly as bad as some countries. The one country that experiences the most pollution, China. Let's take a look at why this is. To gain some perspective from someone who has seen China's pollution firsthand, I sat down with Trinity professor Dr. Liu, who is from Wuhan, China.
My own experience is mostly in mainland China, so it's pretty bad. So from what I can see is like from the air, people don't really see clear sky in most of the areas most of the time, and it's like cloudy every day. And so after a while, people can kind of get used to it. Like they just don't feel it's necessary to have a blue sky anymore. It doesn't really matter, and so that's not a normal day. And there are bad days, like you have to wear masks, and then the news channels, they will forecast like kind of like a warning for a day or two. You probably have to wear a mask everywhere, and it's just gonna be really like muggy and foggy those days.
Over the past 30 years, China has been experiencing an economic reform. The country has been growing at an average of almost 10%. That is 3 times the global average. The way China did this? Industrialization. In 2009, China became the largest exporter in the world. China also makes more cars than any other country. All of this production means China needs more energy. In 2010, China became the world's largest energy user. 58% of China's energy comes from burning coal. Despite the huge amount of industrialization China is experiencing, China has fell behind when it comes to environmental regulations. And even though China has made progress when it comes to creating regulations, it does not always mean the regulations are properly being followed and enforced. Failures have occurred among China's courts and regulatory agencies. One particular failure from China's environmental regulations resulted in a catastrophic event in the port of Tianjin.
Whoa! Holy sh!
Did you get that?
Yeah, I'm videoing it. What the?
I think that might be a gas station or something.
Yeah, it's a guess. Whoa! Oh! What the? Holy sh! No! What? What? No, baby! No!
Please! Are we dangerous here?
Yeah, we're dangerous. Oh my God!
Oh dear! Are you filming?
Yes, I'm filming.
Wow! Wow! I think we are dangerous.
Let's go. Let's go.
On August 12, 2015, 2 explosions in Tianjin ripped through the night sky. The 2 massive explosions sent shock waves throughout the port city that held 15 million at the time of the explosion. Following the explosion, hundreds of firefighters and first responders arrived at the scene to attempt to protect the citizens and save any survivors. Military police later would show up wearing breathing masks. The footage you're currently looking at is the aftermath of a nearby apartment building that was within 1 kilometer of the 2 blasts. The explosion killed 173 people total. 99 of those deaths were firefighters and 11 were police officers who were not informed of the 800 tons of ammonium nitrate that the explosion had released. Another 798 people were injured. If you look out the window, you can see just how close the blast site is to the apartment. There were 2 major issues found after investigating the warehouse. The first was that the warehouse was illegally built too close to nearby apartment buildings. A large portion of the injuries came from the residents that lived in those apartment buildings. The warehouse also was illegally storing highly toxic chemicals, yet had been certified and approved by government officials and regulators to operate. Many people asked, How was such obvious and preventable problems not prevented? The reason Ruhai International Logistics got away with it was revealed following investigations and the sentences of 49 people. The hardest punishment came down on Yu Yexi, the Ruhai Logistics chairman. Yexi was sentenced to a suspended death sentence. He had paid bribes to get permission to illegally store more than 49,000 tons of sodium cyanide and other highly toxic chemicals in the warehouse. He had stored the chemicals at the company's warehouse from 2013 to 2015, when the explosion finally happened. 25 local government officials received softer punishments for taking bribes and abuse of power. 23 other people were charged as well for being a part of the scheme or faking certificates on Ruhai International Logistics' behalf. The effects of such failures led to the deaths of innocent people. It also led to the pollution of water, air, and soil. The 10th largest port in the world suffered from the pollution the explosion caused. The port is also the 3rd largest in the world by cargo volume. The pollution and destruction of the port caused a chain reaction of economic downfalls. Companies had to change shipping routes and find different suppliers and partners. The Tianjin Explosion shows exactly what China struggles with. As China looks to keep expanding its economic progress, it lacks to find a balance between economy and environment. The local officials who were in charge of checking on the warehouse chose money over doing the right thing and denying the storage of the illegal chemicals. China's regulators failed to properly enforce the regulations that are in place to prevent events like Tianjin's. There is something that shows China still has hope for change. After the cleanup of the explosion site and restoration from pollution thanks to the efforts of volunteers and workers, a 60-acre eco park was built on the site of the explosion. The eco has plenty of green spaces as well as 2 schools. The surrounding area also has a new railway station. While the disaster was horrifying, China can learn a lesson from it. They can increase their enforcement on regulations. While bribes did affect the enforcement when it comes to Tianjin, stronger enforcement would have prevented the disaster from happening. They can also be more cautious when it comes to who is being certified and allowed to operate. The people who allow those things need to understand that the regulations exist for a reason and are meant to be enforced and taken seriously. Finally, the citizens can also call out when something doesn't look right, such as the warehouse being too close to housing. The citizens can do their part to help protect themselves and the environment, whether it's reporting someone who's polluting, something they think is breaking a regulation, or any way they can help environmental efforts such as NGOs, activism, or many other options.